Okay, today's cyberwork hack is for security novices, people who are just getting started in learning cybersecurity and looking for their career path. Professor Robert McMillen is an Infosec Skills Path author, and he gives you some fantastic advice for making the decisions at the very beginning to help you steer your career to all the places you want to go. To get your cybersecurity career started, make sure you check out today's episode of Cyberwork Hacks. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Cyberwork Hacks. The purpose of this spin-off of our popular Cyberwork podcast is to take a single fundamental question and give you a quick, clear, and actionable solution or a new insight on how to utilize Infosec products and training to achieve your work and career goals. My guest today is Professor Robert McMillen. Now, Robert's been the instructor and creator of our skills modules for a long time, and he was a guest on an early episode of Cyberwork, and I'm really glad to have him back. For a series of cyberwork hacks aimed squarely at the questions asked by cybersecurity novices. And we hear from you all a lot, and we hear what you're asking, and we're hoping to answer some of it. So today's hack specifically is about creating a career roadmap for yourself before you even step foot out of your first on your first interview. So welcome back to the show, Robert. It's always great to talk to you.
Thanks, Chris. It's good to be back. I really enjoyed our last get together, and I hopefully can help out some people that are new to the industry.
Absolutely. So, Robert, so let's start at the beginning and explain what a career roadmap is, and also, I guess, what it isn't. Like, what should you be trying to understand or clarify for yourself before, by creating a career roadmap for a career in cybersecurity, and also the what it's not. Like, it's not going to solve certain problems, I imagine, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right about that. Career roadmaps are interesting. If you go to, say, Microsoft to look at what their certification roadmap is, AWS has the same thing, but there's really no roadmap out there just for security, cybersecurity students. And so I'm hopefully going to, clear up a little bit of that for you, because I do see education from multiple different angles. I started out as an employee. I, went on to become a consultant and then a business owner and now an educator. And so I kind of see it, all the big picture, basically. And so one of the things you could do is you could bundle certification together. If we step away just from the whole degree plan and things like that temporarily, let's look at bundling certifications.
Yes.
A lot of people that want to go into sysadmin work will bundle the A+, the Net+, and the Security Plus from CompTIA. Yep. And that's a good, 3 certifications to start with. One of the things is if you're going to be a sysadmin, which is typically not a security role, it doesn't mean you don't do security. You're still going to be doing a lot of security. It's just, it may not be your focus. Now, in a smaller company, you are the main security person as well as the sysadmin as well. Right. You might also be doing voice over IP and webcams and things like that. Mm-hmm. But in a larger organization, you're going to have a cybersecurity team, which what I have found is really interesting. They are not even allowed to talk to the sysadmin team because there could be a conflict there. There could be some collusion there. So, larger companies don't even allow them to talk. So let's talk about certification bundling besides just for a sysadmin. What I suggest for those of you who are just getting started, start with the Security Plus. Now, the Security Plus does have some requirements from CompTIA, but they're not really enforced. I mean, they say, you've got to be a security professional for a couple of years and, things like that. They're not really enforced. It's not going to stop you from taking the Security Plus. Right. Then the Azure SC100 is a good one from Microsoft. Microsoft has moved away from on-premises types of certifications, much to my pain because I have a lot of them.
Sure.
And has moved to mostly cloud. I mean, there are a couple of hybrid ones out there, the 800, the 801, but the SC100 is a great intro cybersecurity certification. Nice. And then the last one I suggest is the OSCP, the Offensive Security Pro. Very good certification. All these are available at the Infosec Institute as videos and labs and quizzes and a great way to get started. And then you can go the certification.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I was just kidding. Then you can take the certifications from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's an important distinction to make, and that'll sort of come into our next question. But like you said, if you're going to work for a small company, you're going to have to be a jack of all trades and master of none. And if you're going to come work for a large company, you're going to need to specialize a bit more and sort of drill down on what your specialty is going to be and what's going to set you apart from people on your team, I imagine.
Exactly. Oh, there's some magazine out there, but I really like the certification magazine. I don't know if you've seen this one before, but it's put out by Test Out. It's at certmag.com, and every month they have a lot of great articles about what employers are looking for various different types of IT jobs, and of course, security is a big one among them.
Yeah. Wow. What a cool resource. That's literally first time I'm hearing of it. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So,
yeah. CertMag, CERTMag.com. Check it out.
Love it. So Robert, whether you're a high school student who's studying, getting ready to go off to college, or someone who's opting to skip college and pursue your skills on your own to enter the workforce faster, I think we can agree it can be a bit overwhelming to look up at your imaginary career ladder and imagine what path you're going to take to climb it. And so I wonder if you have any advice for making career road mapping into kind of a manageable and useful process for yourself, rather than the big scary open-ended question, what do I want to be when I grow up?
Yeah. Isn't it crazy and a little bit ridiculous to go? I mean, you were 17 once, right? Mm-hmm. and I was 17 once. And I just find it ridiculous that you go up to a 17-year-old and you say, it's time now to decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah. You and your non-developed prefrontal cortex. Yeah, I'm sure
exactly.
This is gonna go great. Yeah.
So here's my advice on that. Certifications are not everything. A degree is a great idea. Now, can you get started without a degree? Yes, you can. But let's take the mind of a 17-year-old right now, who by the way knows everything. In their minds, they believe they know everything, but you really don't. So here's what I suggest is that you start out, if you don't have the money, start out at a community college. There are loans available for that. If you do have the money and the ability to get into a 4-year college or university, also a great way to go. When you pick your degree that you're going to go for, what I suggest is you go for a fairly generic, IT degree if that's where you're heading, and start out with the real basic classes, the math, the English. You're going to remember it better anyway because you just finished high school, right? You don't want to finish with math because that's 4 years later or 2 years later. You want to start out with some of these non-IT classes, as many as you can take ahead of time. Let yourself start understanding the world a little better around you. Start networking with people and getting their opinions on things, get professors' opinions on things, and then go ahead and start focusing on exactly what you want to do. Knowing what you want to do at 17, it's just almost impossible. So really after that, then you can say, okay, I really like cybersecurity. I've been for a couple of years. I really like cybersecurity. I'm going to finish my degree in cybersecurity or sysadmin work or programmer or DevOps, whatever it is that you want to do. So can you just start out with certifications right out the door? You can, but you're going to find that your options are limited. You're going to get kind of pigeonholed into a specific area. And if you don't like that area, you might be in too deep to get out of it at that point. You might start getting bills, things like that. And you're like, I can't afford to quit my job now. So yes, you can absolutely get certifications to start with. Another interesting thing is getting certifications or taking classes that also offer certifications. There's, for instance, a lot of CCNA certification classes, A+ certification classes, and other things like that. Not a lot of cybersecurity ones yet. I have seen some CISSP ones, but that's a little bit tough to start out with. That's sort of like the PhD of security. I don't know if you want to start out with that ISC squared one quite yet, but if you can find some classes that also teach to the certificate or certification, then it's 2 for 1.
Yeah, no, totally. Now, to that end, I guess I'm thinking here in terms of, people who are just starting to sort of feel that out, and they're like, they take a few computer science classes. Oh, this is interesting, and then they start realizing there's certain things I really like. Oh, I like capturing the flag, or or I like securing a network, or I like actually just watching my computer processes running to see how information is transported. But do you have any advice for taking the things you're interested specifically and sort of moving them into kind of a path of learning and action and sort of career mapping?
Yeah, yeah. This is kind of how I started out. So at the office where I was working, they had a Windows server that was being retired. Now this goes back a few years. This is NT4. This was pre Windows 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Windows 2000 had been out, but they were just retiring the NT4. And so I said, "Can I have this? Is this okay?" And they said, "Sure." So I took it home, and this thing was a beast. It probably weighed 100 pounds back then. It was a big old HP, compact. It was a compact server.
Yes.
And so I got this thing running, and I set up my first DHCP server, and I connected a computer to it, and it got an IP address automatically. My wife thought I was nuts, but I practically jumped up and down. I was so excited. When you have that kind of excitement, you're in the right place. You're headed towards the right kind of career. And those are the kinds of things that, can get you started. There's a lot of great places. I know that in the Portland area, in Portland, Oregon, where I am, they have a free geek place. And I'm sure other cities have similar things where you can go and you can work there for equipment. So they teach you how to repair computers. They teach you how to do all different kinds of things on computers. And then you go to work for them as a volunteer, and then you get equipment for your compensation. You take that home, you start playing with it, and get really excited about all the things you can do. And I love that kind of stuff. So the other thing you can do, join computer clubs, either in high school or college, whichever you're in. And if you're not in high school or college, vendor groups are a great idea. Vendor groups will get you into places where the vendors, there's firewall vendors, Palo Alto and Cisco and all these different places. They have vendor groups in all the major cities. If you're fortunate enough to be, near them, they will provide you with, a lot of times some free demo equipment, some free software, things like that. And you can take that home and you can start your own projects as well. So lots of really good, ways that you can do that. I remember doing that, early on with, one of the firewall companies, that's not a lot of people are using anymore, but it was so great. I got to talk to other people that are having the same problems that I was having, in getting started in a career, and those folks really helped me out.
That's cool. I've never heard that before either. So yeah, we're learning all kinds of stuff together. Now you had mentioned before that you almost quoted one of my lines in here talking about getting your first job. But speaking for listeners who are maybe ramping up their training now, they're getting some experience. They might have even landed a first job. Do you have any advice for helping them stay focused on their career roadmap and pushing themselves into new learning and new opportunities to keep growing? So, like you said, it's really going to be easy. You get your first job, you start to have to pay bills, work starts piling up, your day-to-day seems like it takes your entire day to get all your work done, and then you're coming home and you're like, I don't want to study tonight. How do you sort of keep yourself going so that you don't just sort of drift into that same spot forever?
Well, this is a tough one for young people. It gets a little bit easier as you get older because you kind of settle down and your brain isn't quite as wired, for the next quick thing. But especially with people with disabilities like ADHD, that's especially tough for those folks. And I realize there's medications that can help, and not everybody wants to do that because it makes them feel strange and stuff. So being a disciplined person is not easy. It's not necessarily natural, for us. It takes a certain amount of security. When I was earning my degrees, I had a business, I had a wife and 3 kids and a lot of bills. So one of the things that and there's a lot of different, ways you can do this, but let me just give you one way that I think works out great. A lot of us play video games. Do you play video games, Chris?
In the arcade, in a retro arcade now and again. I don't have.
Oh, you love the retro. I love that too. Yeah. We got this place for $20. You go there and you play as long as you want.
Same here. Yeah. Galloping Ghost out in in Brookfield.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Anyway. So what I use is this work reward system. The work reward system basically goes like this, is that, you have your favorite video game in front of you, right? You may be PlayStation or Xbox or PC gaming, that kind of thing. And what I do is I say, okay, I'm going to read X amount of pages of my book, or I'm going to do my lab. I'm going to take this quiz, and I'm going to reward myself, by being able to play 30 minutes of video game games or whatever it is that excites me, what I like to do. And then you go on to the next thing. And so over the course of 2 or 3 hours, you might find that you get all of the rewards that you need, and at the same time you get a lot of the work done as well. Like I said, I understand it's not easy, and it does take some maturity, but this is a way that worked for me, and maybe it'll work for you as well.
Yeah, no, if we're talking reward systems, for mine, the equivalent is get 20 minutes of reading done and you can listen to an LP or an album or whatever. So and I think the thing that I've noticed too is when you get on a good roll, you're like, well, I've read 45 minutes and I get 20 minutes reward and 45 minutes. And then at a certain point, like, you start skipping the rewards. At a certain point, you get so locked in that you're like, no, let's just keep going, Yeah. Which is good. That's exactly where you want to get to, you get into flow. So, so one last question here, Robert. If people want to, if listeners are logging into Infosec Skills today, like, what are some of the skills paths that you've created that they can check out that are Robert McMillen certified?
Yeah, there you go. Well, if you haven't done so, make sure you create your account at Infosec and get your account started. There is a free trial when you sign up, and then you can start watching videos and taking labs on various different subjects. Now, here's what I suggest is do what excites you. You're going to hate a career that pays you a lot of money that isn't interesting. Because as we mentioned before, it feels a little bit like you're in prison where you can't get back out of it. However, I have created some learning paths, and I started out with the Windows Server 2019 and Windows 10. I have since upgraded for Windows 11 and Windows Server 2022. And it's all about securing those operating systems. Operating systems, not necessarily for homes. It's not going to be the home version of Windows, 10 or 11. It's going to be, the professional, the enterprise versions, how to secure them using group policy with Active Directory, with all the built-in utilities, as well as many third-party utilities. Determine whether or not you've been compromised. Your servers have been compromised. All those different things are, very important to, most offices and businesses. And I think that people will get a lot out of them.
That's great. Professor Robert McMillen, thank you for helping our loyal listeners on their path to their preferred type of security career.
So glad to be here, Chris. Look forward to the next one.
All right. And thank you all for watching this episode. If you enjoyed this video and felt that it helped you, please do share it out with your colleagues and on any forums that you're on and on your social media accounts. The more people that know about us, the more of this that we can do. And of course, please like this video and subscribe to our podcast. You can just type in CyberWork Infosec into YouTube. And you will find all of our past episodes just like magic there. So there's plenty more to come for learners of all levels, including more with Professor Robert McMillen. So if you have any topics that you want us to cover, just drop them in the comments below. We're reading them all. Until then, we will see you next time, and happy learning. Hey, if you're worried about choosing the right cybersecurity career, click here to see the 12 most in-demand cybersecurity roles. I asked experts working in the field how to get hired and how to do the work of these security roles so you can choose your study with confidence. I'll see you there.